guys have access to some of this information. So the DMA Student Association is formed by students, run by students, advised by myself, but I'm really more of somebody who just like signs off on anything that needs a faculty member to sign off on, and helping students navigate the school's governance sort of system, like asking student government for money, for example. The reason I'm bringing this up, and I should do this with all of my classes, honestly, because what the students who are running it currently, especially, are doing is really freaking cool. Um, they have started the ball rolling in receiving funding for us. And so they've really got it down to a science, how we book time with student government, ASG. We tell them what we want to do with it. They tell us why that's ridiculous. We say we know, but we want it anyway. They give us the little, we come back with a counter argument. Like they have it down. We are back and forth on it, and it's totally normal. Now, the reason I bring this up is because that's probably the most annoying part of leadership for a club like this. But I also want to share how freaking cool it is that we've been able to do some of this in the past and what they're trying to do with us this year. So, how many people here, and if you are visiting me via the Zooms of the future, really want to be like a professional in the games industry specifically, for example? See some hands coming up. Now, one of my most common asked questions from people who are serious about getting a career in the games industry is, what do I have to do to get a career in the games industry? And the school will tell you, and many professionals will tell you, get an education, practice, build your portfolio, do all that stuff. That is extremely important, right? Because you need that to compete. Facts. If you don't have work to show, they have to take you at your word. They're not going to do that. But let's talk about this really nasty elephant in the room about this kind of industry. It's extremely privileged, it's extremely elitist, and extremely gated, right? It is those three things. Let's say, for example, you want work on games because games are excellent, couldn't agree more, but you got the skills for computer science. You could go make a pretty comfortable career doing some data science, doing some back end work of organizing data for a bank or something. Money, make lots of money. But how many of you, were you to have that skill set, take a huge pay cut to work on like your favorite video game? Yeah, you and like the rest of the world, seriously. So it's really competitive, right? It's highly competitive in that way. There are people with the same skill set that want this. And so we'll ask that question again. How do I get a career in the games industry really? And I wish I could say it's completely merit-based, just be good enough, be someone you want to work with, which is also true. But there's this other component to it, opportunity, and like readiness. Like readiness meets opportunity, and then those things align. That's a fancy pants way of saying you got to get lucky. An opportunity has to kind of present itself and you jump on it, meaning, oh, I met someone who happened to put me in touch with this guy before they made the job post and I got in. So that's very unlikely, right? It's extremely unlikely, in fact. So how, as game designers, can I increase my luck stat on this? This is how. Network. Network now, network early. The built-in network that you don't realize you're engaging with are the people that you're going to school with, because the people sitting next to you are also going for this, and some of them will get jobs. Some of them will not. Why won't some of them? Well, some of them because they just don't want to later. Some of them because they don't have the time and opportunity to put in the time and the work and the practice to compete on the same timeline that you do. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes people just change priorities or change their mind. A big reason that I think a lot of folks, especially in game design, change their mind is that they realize that their love of games is not sufficient to sustain them through the hard part of learning how to do this. And another part is that sometimes making crappy games is not really comfortable enough to keep going. And I understand that, right? You have to make a lot of bad ones before you make some good ones. Okay, so networking. That is an adult $10 word for make friends that do the job that you want to do someday. That's all it means. Make friends. How many of you struggle a little bit making friends? Sure. Sure. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Well, unfortunately, It's the reality that people want to work with their friends. Let's say hypothetically, you in 10 years from now have your dream job, because I believe that you absolutely can have your dream job 10 years from now. I do. I believe if I can do it, and I'm an idiot, you guys can definitely do it for sure, right? I identify with that. So, you've got your dream job, right? And then your lead or hiring manager is like, hey, do you know anybody who could like do the job that Jared did but left for us about? Like, do you think you can somebody, you know, somebody like say less, I have a friend who does this. And then you call your friend, or what, call your friend. How old am I? You Discord your friend, right? Like, dude, we're gonna have a job opening. You want to do tools development? You want to do level design? You want to do systems architecture for us? Do you want to do 3D? We got a prop position opening. Do you want it? Obviously, you're going to want to pick your friend whom you know, right? And love, versus a stranger whom is going to go through a bunch of other hiring processes. But let's say that your friend reaches out to you, you have to be competitive, right? Because you're not going to get the job just because you've got friends in the industry. You also have to be competitive to do it. But let's say I'm your lead and you tell me, hey, I know a guy. Oh, great. I won't even look at anybody else until I look at your stuff, because we've been working together so long that I know that you're a professional and I'd like more of you. Right? That's kind of how it works in the industry. It's kind of shitty. I'm not going to lie that that's kind of gross that that's how it works. But I mean, I spoke to a few other freelancers. How many of them, I was like, how many of your jobs did you get from a cold lead, like where you applied and they called you back? One guy who used to teach for us, he said like one of his jobs, he got that out of like 11 or 12 that he had had in his career. I was like, I don't think I've ever had a job that I've cold called and reached out and like I just applied and threw my name in the hat and it worked out. I think Will had one, right? And we've had several jobs, several games, and that just kind of goes to show that it's very predominant that that's how it works. So I think that it's kind of unfair to suggest that, oh, if you just get your degree and you just have a strong portfolio, put your name out there and that's all you have to do. The reality is that you have to have those things and you have to go start shaking some hands. You have to start going and connecting so that they can see how hilarious and passionate you guys are. And I mean, at the end of the day, most of the time, people do not remember the details, but they do remember how you made them feel. And so this brings me to my next point. What does this have to do with the DMA Student Association? What does this have to do with making friends here? Well, the DMA Student Association goes out of the way to get you money to go to things like the Game Developers Conference in March. The Game Developers Conference for an all-access pass comes out to about $2,500 for a ticket. The conference is not for consumers. It's not for gamers who just want to check out the newest game, like what E3 used to be or what PAX kind of is now. It's not consumer focused. It's developer and professional focused. And that means studios like Riot are purchasing $2,500 tickets left and right for their developers or for their professionals to be there. Most of the time, they're financing people to be there because they're looking for talent. Now, am I going to say that like, oh, if you go there, though, like that's where the hot spot is, that's where all the jobs are? Not necessarily. That's where the professionals are. And you have to start making friends with professionals as soon as possible, right? Then follow up to that, you'll meet people there who are doing the same thing you're doing, who are doing your hustle, who are showing up, trying to show their portfolios, show their games, talk about game design, and meet and connect with people. And some of them, while they might not have jobs yet, they will, because they're doing what you need to do to get jobs. It's like the statistical likelihood of somebody at GDC getting a job is slightly higher than the statistical likelihood of somebody you're sitting next to in class to get a job. So this is the luck stat that I'm kind of talking about. 2 years ago, the DMA Student Association sent 11 students to the Game Developers Conference. That was for their tickets. Some of them were just like the indie pass. Some of them were the summits and tutorials. We try to get you the all access, but it's really expensive. But they also paid for your plane ticket. They paid for your room and board, and they paid for food spending money and some incidentals and travel, like money for Lyft and whatnot. 2 faculty chaperones were there, not including myself, though I was also there, but I was there as a speaker, so I didn't use any of the resources to get myself there. So the the game developers conference is a very real thing that you could possibly attend. I'm going to suggest you start coming to these DMA Student Association meetings so that you can have conversations with your leadership about getting money for it. Maybe even learning how to be a leader yourself for next academic year if you're interested in helping us get money for this. I cannot get you the money. I am just a teacher here. I do not have power. Students have power. And the student government has a lot of money that they're only giving to students. So I can show you who to talk to. I can connect you with who you need to do it, but I can't actually do it for you. So every purple here is a student club meeting in this room every Thursday at like 5:30. Yeah? Oh, it's okay. Some of this is also remote and sometimes they'll record it. If you go to the Discord though, Discord, this right here, Discord, this guy, guys. We have a DMA Student Association Discord, so you can just like get to chatting and go at your leadership, at Lucy, at Sophia, people who are running this. And talk about some of the stuff you want. Sometimes they'll put out a vote like, hey guys, if we were to get like $1,000 for this thing, or oh, we inherited 12 laptops. What do you guys think we should do with them? Should we take them apart and see how they work? Should we try to clean them up, repurpose them, and give them to the less fortunate? Yeah, we actually try to do that, but the laptops were so bad that nobody would want these. My point is though, is that you have a voice, you have a say in this, and I highly, highly recommend that you participate. If you are curious how to connect, go to not welcome to DMA2, but program information. I clicked the wrong one. I meant to click, oh, I'm in 217. Program information, DMA program information, right here. And right here, I've got a DMA Discord channel link right there. If it doesn't work, let me know. I'll make you a fresh one. So join us. It'll help us get you money. If you're interested in things outside of game design, still join us. They are the DMA Student Association. They can get you funding for, I don't know, maybe a film festival or maybe a film project. Or right now they're trying to have a movie night in a couple weeks, like maybe a spooky movie night in October. And they're trying to get you dinner on finals week so you can have something to eat. So, you know, they're trying to do some outreach, but connect with them. Okay, cool. Any questions? Cool. Awesome. All right. I got all that recorded. So if you hopped on while I was in the middle of that and you're like, oh, I missed some cool stuff, that's okay. It's all recorded here. You can check it out later. Now, let's talk about well, we've talked to death, I think, about, right? I'd say we've talked about witch hunt quite a lot. Now, I would like to share with you some stuff that's going to be more important next week when we come back and we start our actual prototyping from Fresh Ideas. But I like to share this now so that it ruminates in your mind. I want to talk about conceptualizing. How many people here know how to do that? You might do it naturally, right? And maybe you've been practiced at it. But like, how many illustrators here love to draw? Love to draw? Yeah. Can you do concept art? Oh, that's cool. That's the hardest kind of art there is. Yeah, but it's really hard, right? Creating something that doesn't exist, not really, and also communicating that to somebody who like they know that they're looking at them like, oh, that's clearly a spaceship made out of cheese. You know, like how do you do that? That's a lot of skill that goes into that. Now, I'm bringing this up because this right here is some of the hardest to actually pinpoint down. How many of you feel that you're creative? Oh, I love it. Oh, confidence is going up. But okay, how many want to be more creative? Oh, okay, everybody. I'd say so. Yeah, you're my people. I mean, you're digital media art. Of course, you probably want to be more creative. So, is creativity a gift? I'm saying no, I'm saying yes, I'm saying can be. Can be. Who gives it to you? Who gives you the gift? Mom? Did you get it from your mama? Genetics, maybe? Okay. Skill. It's a skill. Is it a skill or is it a gift? Is it inherited or is it learned? Yeah? It's a skill that you can practice. I agree with that. Yeah? Yeah?
I think that you see it as a gift because for some people it is nurtured early and often, and other people it isn't.
Beautifully. I 100% agree. I have met a lot of people in my life, and I can say that, some folks might never really have ever had that nurture early on and then kind of resolve to just not be and continue that. I think that that's okay. And because you don't have to be creative to live a fulfilling life and experience. You really don't. But I think enough of us have had some tangential experience or just like nearby experience around creativity that we felt it and know we want to do it more, whatever that means. So I agree that I do think it is a skill that you practice, not unlike learning a language or playing an instrument. And I think it's just a different part of the brain that we don't usually maybe engage with all the time. And it's not necessary that we do, just like playing an instrument. Now, where do ideas come from? Okay, how many of you have this as your creative process? Is that you? Is that you? No? Oh, do some of you guys like to panic earlier? Yeah, maybe that's a sliding scale for you. Yeah. So you're panicking while you're doing nothing else or something else? Okay. Okay. I want to look at this for just a second. How many here would self-proclaim themselves to be a bit of a procrastinator? Yes, me too. Yes. Now, um, what do you think you got to do to overcome the procrastination? Stop talking to me. Isolate myself, put myself in prison. Yeah? Accept the possibility of failure, that it isn't the end of the world. I really love that advice. I think that that's just really good advice, whatever the context, really. It is really hard to do. Like your relationship with failure is very personal. For some of us, it's excruciating. And for some of us, it's just like every other day. And oh, what a superpower, right? Okay. I really like that because you're touching on something that I think I'm going to get to momentarily. Does anybody else have advice on how to handle their procrastination? Yeah. Grow your attention span. Just be better.
No, that's what I was
Just
gonna
just
say until you
just
said
be
it.
better at it. I think you can grow your attention span, but just like with any skill, there has to be grace. Like you have to trip a lot at first. I agree with that.
Say just do it.
Just do it. Well, just don't procrastinate. Great idea. Yeah? And then you. And then you.
When I finish my work, I just push the deadline back.
You are a game developer. Yes? Mhm.
And one of the things that I've been helpful in navigating that is realizing that often individuals with ADHD have a sense of time blindness.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
so I actually don't perceive there's like 6 different ways to perceive or track time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just the way my brain works, I don't see event horizons
Mm-hmm.
until they have arrived.
Until they're right here.
Yes, and
Right.
it's closer proximity.
Yes.
For me, I had to like develop all sorts of like coping mechanisms throughout that. Like just like wearing my watch super.
Oh, really?
Things like that.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of those processes and routines that I've had to build around it, but they fail.
I am similarly type A because I'm type goblin. Like I have to have my systems or else it all falls apart, right? What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, identify what it is you usually do. That's part of the procrastination. Like if it's a game you play, just like saying, I'm not gonna play games this day until I get.
Oh, so like give yourself like a reward for doing the thing you don't want to do after. That's actually a pretty good idea. I do like that. Yeah.
Hire your friends to yell at you.
Hire your friends to yell at you. Pay them, but not too much. We don't want them getting too comfortable. Yeah, one more.
Genuine strategies, I have two. One is come up with something that's more pressing so that when I'm being productive to procrastinate,
Mhm.
doing the thing that I actually need to do.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'll actually get to my laundry if I have an important deadline tomorrow. Okay, all right. So, well, yeah. All right. Okay, all of this is really good advice, by the way. And I subscribe to a lot of it myself. Systems, reward systems, punishment systems. And then like taking things down to biteable chunks. But that to me feels a little bit more practical around busy work tasks, right? What happens when your next task is to come up with an idea? If I were to tell you guys right now, well, I mean, how's about we put all of your advice to work? I need you guys to come up with a game idea right now, and you'll have 30 minutes to do it, right? So just do all of the things that you guys are suggesting, right, to do it, because you've got an event horizon right here, and give yourself a reward or punish yourself if you don't, or break it down into smaller tasks, whatever that is, and go. And then I add the additional challenge. Try not to bring up an idea you already came up with because you don't want to put in the work of creating something new. So it can't be any of your previously thought of ideas. You've got to come up with something new right now. How would that work for you? Probably horribly, right? An idea, a conceptual concept, conceptualize. Like we're talking about being creative here too, guys, right? Like all of the stuff that you've given, really great practical advice for doing a report, maybe that requires you to read a thing and understand it, blah, 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 blah. Or build a spreadsheet or solve some math, right? Okay, I'm going to start going this way down here, okay? Yeah.
If we did it as a group.
If we did it as a group, it'd be really good. I've seen it go both ways. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Like brainstorm,
Yeah.
but my suggestion is let your mind wander.
Let your mind wander. Yeah, you got 30 minutes. Let your mind wander. Go. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that to you guys. Yeah.
So very related to that, and
Mhm.
also as I mentioned for the practical aspect, is having a separate space for doing productive things is often useful. And for me personally, if I'm going to try to do a creative task, then I want to usually choose a space accordingly, which for me often means walking in a place that I find like more inspiring.
Yep.
Whatever. And so like physically changing locations to a place where you don't have your distractions for the practical side. And then, at least for me,
Yeah.
On the creative side, being in a place where my mind will just wander.
Yeah.
Preferably in a place that's nice.
Yeah, a personal thing I'm going to share with you guys that touches on what you're talking a little bit about is that I found that when I go on walks and I finally walk enough that I start to a creative space, I start solving some of my problems. Like I actually start to get answers to like, oh, I just should have said this to them. I can just tell them that. Like I start to get the answers to things that have been bugging me under my subconscious. If I'm driving, though, I get new ideas. Anytime I go on a road trip, I got like 15 new art scenes I want to make, and then it'd be cool if I made a game that did this thing. It hits me like a ton of, and it's never in a good enough space for me to be able to write it down because I'm literally driving. Yeah, I could. I'm gonna be the last man standing. I will not AI, but you're right. Like that does help.
Use R.
Or what I have done is that like I've pulled out a notebook after I get a sense, and then I start writing the ones that I think make the most sense. So yeah. And if I keep dwelling on them in a week, I need to explore it. Like I really need to make it happen. So that's kind of my process of whittling it down. I thought I saw some hands popping up, but I think we're okay. Okay, yes. One more.
Something that I've also realized, like, or at least for me, is in my creative process, and this ties with, this ties in with my like ADHD tendencies. Is I find there's a Venn diagram between my motivation and my creativity. And a huge part of motivation is tied to dopamine. As someone has ADHD, I have lower
Yep.
maybe have to have lower dopamine levels.
Cheers.
I think what you're talking about,
Mhm.
of like doing something, when I do a physical activity, it actually increases dopamine.
Yeah.
And knowing that my body, my brain, that
Mhm.
for me, then I realize part of my self-care is to make sure, it's part of the reason I dance, I realize. Physical activity, social interaction, it puts me in this flow state that then it helps balance
That's
other
great.
parts of my life. So I think it's really cool that you,
Mhm.
I was just noticing that what you do actually kind of sets you up in this space.
It does. And I
Gain
learned that
the
like,
motivation
yeah.
and the
And I learned that retroactively. Like I didn't intend to do that. I just found that happening. And then all the science starts to explain why it makes sense. Okay, so this really quick though. I feel that when we talk about procrastination, people tend to just blame themselves for being this way. Sometimes maybe we're wise enough to realize that we might have a little bit of neurodiversity, we might have a kind of ADHD situation, but I mean, while I believe a lot of folks, maybe even people who don't really have a lot of an ADHD, still struggle with this when it comes to having to do something that you're not interested in. Like that's hard anyway. It's already freaking hard. But um it's not your fault is the first thing I'm coming out with here. You are not lazy. You are not lazy. How many people here think they're lazy? I just told you you're not. What are you doing? I just told you you're not. You're not. No, you're not. You're not. You're not. You're not. You're not. I'm so stubborn about this. Now, you might be able to frame a scenario in your mind where you believe that you are this thing, but I'm going to come at it from a little bit of an angle. Let's say, for example, does it benefit you at all if you have a slave master that wants to benefit from you believing? Like, let's say hypothetically, you have a person who's in charge of everything you do, and does it benefit them to have you believe this thing of yourself? The answer is if they want to be able to say you're not working because you're lazy. Just don't be lazy. It's a kind of shaming for you to not be more productive. I need you to be more productive, make more money. This is a capitalistic kind of fall off that happens to us. All right. Now, I'm not trying to tell you to like change your philosophy to match mine. You can do whatever you want, especially outside of this class, right? But I always run it through a little thing. If I had a slave master right now, would they be happy I think this? And that's kind of where I'm like, ha, I'm not going to think it then. Absolutely not. So you're not lazy. What is happening, though, is that you are having other defense mechanisms come into play that are contributing to your procrastination. For example, when we look at here, I'm going to do anything else. You relate to this? This is you running away from your problem. Fair? Can we agree with that? Okay, cool. This is anxiety, right? Okay. And you do a lot of self-blaming right about here because you ran away from yourself. This right here, do it all while crying. This is fight. Flight and fight. What is fight and flight? Defense mechanisms. They're just defense mechanisms. Yeah? Yes. Panic is often freeze. It is. It can be flop too, depending. Freeze and flop. These are all defense mechanisms that your brain does when you're in danger. What are you in danger of? Danger. This is an anxiety issue. This is not something's wrong with you and you just aren't practiced enough or aren't just you're not trying hard enough. Absolutely not. So one of the reasons why I don't give because when you're in a state of anxiety, you really actually cannot call on memory or make new memory. Make new memory is literally conceptual, I think. If I told you think of something new in 30 minutes, go, or else you'll freeze, maybe panic, maybe even run out the door, ask for an extension. Yes, yes. So do you still think you're lazy? Oh, well, if you still think so, I can't convince you. I think that's that. I believe that the word lazy is something that people who didn't want to understand something that's really complicated throw on it so that they don't have to think about it and you could just feel bad instead. I really think that. Now, I mean, there is some actual study that backs my opinion on this, but you know, it's still an opinion. And if you want to call yourself lazy, okay, but I don't think it's productive. So this, not really a creative process now, is it? No. So I'm going to share with you how creativity actually kind of works in the subconscious. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah,
Bad about me.
it's true. And I think that that is indicative of maybe another personality concern. And I hope you talked to your therapist about if you just like didn't care about anything. Sure, sure, agreed. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to one of my heroes, Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi. No, you don't need to memorize his name. I just think he's freaking cool. How many of you heard of flow state? All of you. I taught it to you a week ago. He's the guy who frameworked flow state. He's the guy that it's his work and research as a psychologist and a designer of creativity and stuff. That is like the foundation of a lot of like self-help, whatever out there is based off of his work. So if you're actually interested, don't buy Atomic Habits. Read Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi's studies. He is freaking so cool. I want to be just like you. Um, so he actually frameworked stages of creativity, natural stages that people go through as they learn to start to conceptualize and get ideas. The first one, preparation, incubation, insight, evaluation, elaboration. My God, that was boring. If you tuned out, I don't blame you. It's hard to keep up, but let's talk about them. Preparation. I thought this was funny. I Googled prepare, and this is what came up. Prepare for the worst. Battle. Prepare for interview. I thought it was kind of funny. I think this changes. This has been a little while ago, but I like the predictions for this. I thought it was a little telling of what people were Googling. Let's see what it says now. This was a while ago. Okay. Prepare for an interview. Prepare for war. My arrival. Prepare for your care. Okay. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Prepare for colonoscopy. Okay. I think I understand what is in the anxiety subconscious of our society a little bit. Prepare for the unknown. Well, okay, so what does he mean by preparation? I'm going to share with you a slightly better version of preparation. How many of you have ever traveled somewhere in your life? Okay, I'm assuming if you didn't raise your hand, you just didn't hear my question. Has anybody not ever traveled anywhere in their entire life? Really? Okay, well, you're an exception to the rule then. Okay, well, pretend that you're going to for a second. You want free tickets to, where do you want to go, Japan? Okay, free tickets to Japan. Oh, everybody, the DMA Student Association got us free tickets to Japan. We're going. Oh, what are we going to do? Yeah? What's the first thing your mind starts to do? Yeah? Anticipate sushi. Yes. Oh, where am I going to go? Yes. We're going to go to Osaka. We're going to go to, yeah. Slurp ramen. Okay. Finding the things that you want to visit. What were you going to say? Spreadsheet. There you go. Yes. Then you make a spreadsheet. I actually do the same. I think I've got some old trips that I've like literally made a spreadsheet. You can't get me in front of a spreadsheet though if you paid me, and they've tried, and I won't do it. But for a trip like that, oh, suddenly it's the best thing in the world. Yeah. Are you kidding? I'm gonna start walking every day because I'm not driving anywhere and I don't want shin splints. And I got 6 months to go, so I have to walk every day, 3 times a week. I'm gonna start. I'm like, am I gonna be somebody who wears hats when I'm in Japan? Is that who I am? I'm going to think about where do I want to go? What's a ryokan? Well, I should learn to say some stuff. Honestly, I start studying a language, working out, preparing for finances and budget. You can't get me to do those things for myself, but tell me I'm going to Japan and suddenly I'm putting in the work and I'm excited about it. That to me is a kind of preparation that is a lot easier to tap into, right? So, preparation in this case, becoming immersed consciously or not in a set of problematic issues that are interesting and create curiosity. Specifically interesting and create curiosity. Otherwise, I'm just a teacher forcing you to study something that you wouldn't care about otherwise. If I'm really good at what I do, I might show you why it's cool. But I probably won't, especially if I teach you math or something. So, um, immerse yourself in a set of, we'll say problematic issues, but really this can just be information that you find curious. Obsessed. Think of something you think is really cool and obsess about it. Do you like Japan? Do you like to dance? Do you think guns are cool? Oh yeah? Okay, well, I gotta keep an eye on you. I'm kidding. No, guns are cool. It is. Do you? And what I'm asking you to do though is to not necessarily immerse yourself in games. Don't get me wrong. You're gonna do that anyway. You can do that anyway. But really think of topics and things that excite you. Some of those things for me are gonna be astronomy, the study of the universe. I learned what redshift was last year. I had my knees. I was like, this is weird. I have to think about how you're expanding faster, speed of light, things farther, wait, brain, ouchie. So cool. So cool. Easy to go down a rabbit hole if you become inspired, right? So preparation means to allow yourself to go ahead and explore your interests with fervor and give them the importance that they frankly deserve. This is just a joyful piece of advice anyway. Next up, incubation. This is the only picture I could think of for incubation. This is the stage in which ideas churn around below the threshold of consciousness. In other words, daydream. Who likes to daydream? Woo! You're like halfway there. I can't teach you how to daydream, but I can ask you kindly and gently to try to more. Now, daydreaming comes to us more or less, sometimes easier or harder, depending on who you are. Some of you are already doing it because I'm actually sparking something where you're like, hey, I was kind of thinking, and next thing you know, you're kind of going into the next stages of it. I don't mind. If you're daydreaming while I'm talking, I wouldn't know. It's fine. I appreciate you trying to look like you're paying attention. That's really cool of you. But I also share this with you so you can come back to it later if you're in a better state for it. But daydream, let yourself. Meaning, oh man, I was like thinking about redshift and space. Next thing you know, I'm thinking about like what galaxies might look like if they were swirling and moving really fast. Just like let yourself do it. Go for it. What would it be like if I was like an all powerful, just genie, just blah, because I watched Aladdin not that long ago with my nephew. My point, though, is that you let yourself have that space. Okay. Next up, the aha moment. The aha moment. Okay, that was the worst dad joke of my day. Nobody knows who aha is? Ha! Okay. The aha moment. Insight. What happens here is that while you are kind of committed to stages 1 and 2, this will just come naturally. How many of you were folding socks or working a register or cleaning a table or doing something that doesn't really take a lot of juice and you go, oh, wait, that's it. And you weren't even thinking about it, but the solve comes to you. Yeah, yes, that's it. That's it. That's the idea. That's the moment that something hits you in terms of like an idea, right? The problem is that you can't schedule it. I can't tell you to just have an aha moment in the next 30 minutes. I can't do it. I mean, I could do it. That make me kind of an asshole, but it's extremely important that you start with preparation and incubation ASAP and dedicate time to them. That's the real important part. That's actually why I'm sharing this part of the lecture first, even though we're not even going to begin that until next week, because I wanted you to be aware of this so you had a good weekend to go ahead and watch them true crime documentaries if that's what you want to obsess about. Go ahead and study geodes if that was the thing that's kind of got you sparkle, whatever that means for you. so that you can think about, let it just daydream under your subconscious and play with it. Okay. The more time you can dedicate to this, the sooner this happens. Hard to schedule, but let yourself play. Then evaluation. This is where we kind of decide if this is a worthwhile solve or not. In a professional sphere, we would have a bit more of a vigorous application about whether or not something is worthwhile. For homework, it is. It doesn't have to be a good idea, quote unquote. For you to apply some design philosophy and process to it to create something playable, attempt for something fun, and improve upon that design. Like that is absolutely doable. I think I heard a point made some while ago that one of the most important and influential video games of all time is really about a blue-collar worker who eats psychedelics and saves princesses and kills turtles. That is weird. Is that a good idea? On paper, not necessarily, no. But playable, I mean, it's why I'm here, probably. So, whether or not an idea is a good idea or not really doesn't even matter. It really matters more about how you apply your design process to it. I was talking about Mario. Okay. Then, elaboration. This is the stuff I teach you. Elaboration is the process of which I will have you be doing for your assignments moving forward. What that looks like is that you will define the dramatic and formal elements of your game, and you're going to diagram them as a concept. You're going to draw up some rules. You're going to play test those with players who have not played your game before. And we'll talk about play testing in the future. And you're going to observe people playing your stuff. And then you will make an iteration pass on it, meaning I'm going to watch how players play with it. I'm going to identify design problems, and I'm going to try to implement a solution for it. You will not be graded on whether or not the solution works necessarily. It's that you are trying something new with it. That's the whole pipeline in a nutshell. So I have an idea. What now? Write it down. Write it down as soon as you can, whether it's on paper, a notebook, or an app, a notes app. I know many of you have got cursed notes apps. I've seen them. They are weird. That's fine. Use whatever you want. I don't care. And then we do something called identifying the core game loop. Okay. Let's take a little break because I've been talking at you for a while. And for some of you, whether you choose to believe me or not, I've totally changed your life. But for others, it'll take a lot longer, and that's okay. So how's about we take about 10 or 15? What do you want? 10? 15-minute break. We will come back a little after 3:50, and then I'll talk about diagramming, which is going to be less cool than what I just talked about. Woo!
I could write
Yeah.
write a pretty good thing.
I've resumed recording because I think this is a really good thing to say. Like, you want to make games, but you don't program. Right.
I was going to call it.
Sure.
Really.
Right. You can do it. You can do it. And I think the easiest, it's not. And the tool that we're going to use in this class is a lot more approachable than a C language. So I will show you some of a little bit. I'll hold your hand as I make you do something. And then you can see if it's something you can continue to explore for yourself. But I would give yourself literally like 2 years of regular practice on that kind of logic and creation of systems before you would consider yourself probably ready to program something on your own that's even close to a prototype of a game. Right? Go ahead.
I think when it comes to like teaching yourself game design is the last thing code and AI kind of write programs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yes. But just so you know, AI is stupid. It's a great way to start though, because like I think it'll give you something and then you can start to deconstruct why it was working the way it is. Yeah.
Piece of advice for that. One, mostly use it to learn. Generally don't.
Yeah.
Two, so my background, I've been a software engineer for the last 10 years, retiring from that to do game development. in general, until very recently, I wasted far more time than I saved anytime I tried to use AI to speed up my work.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I finally think things are getting to the point where it's better. Like the newest Claude AI, so that's Anthropic's AI, is actually good enough that it has. I feel like it can help me speed up. So do not use ChatGPT.
No.
It's really dumb. If you're going to use an AI, I really recommend using Claude. You have the access to it the same way you do with ChatGPT.
Mhm.
It's just something that I actually pay for myself.
Mhm.
With
Yes.
but still, it's still really dumb. If you let it be dumb. You have to, like, without software engineering background, it will do really dumb things. It will expand the scope of everything you're doing and will go way off track.
That's 100% true. So something I'm going to piggyback off of your point, because this is true for almost anything that you use AI for, including generated images, 3D meshes, all of that, really. Something you should consider is that you still need to understand how these things work. And if we're talking about code, you should be able to code review a bot's spit out code. You should be able to like pinpoint exactly why it would be problematic. If you can't do that, don't just use it. Explore with it, totally fine. Totally fine. That's okay. Let's say now we're talking about art, for example, 3D generated meshes. If you don't know what you're doing, you can take a tool and generate some images for concept work, use those images to generate some meshes, and you will see something that looks like a mesh. And without a critical eye, you might believe it's usable. And without training, you won't really understand immediately why it wouldn't be. So I'm going to scooch back a little bit now and just help you understand a little bit more of like what these tools are capable of, but also your place with using them, because the professionals who've been studying this for their lives also have access to them. And so let's say hypothetically, I put two programmers into a room. One has 10 to 15 years experience in computer science. The other has very little. And then we have another group over here. We've got a 15-year artist veteran here who's been illustrating and creating professional art for that long, and somebody who's just started using those tools. Who do you think is going to utilize these tools with any amount of actual strength and application? Exactly. So don't minimize or undermine the actual skill of these processes. And I do feel bad for you guys that you even have this thing dangling in front of you while you're in a state of learning, but you can actually utilize them. You can use them to help you. If I were to have my students generate images, I would say, okay, that's fine. Now paint over the problems. I want you to solve the problems with, take your brush and go at it and fix it. And then you can start to see where your strengths are and you can kind of pull from them. You can learn a lot that way. All right, break time. We're going to talk about diagramming. Now, so I had mentioned before pseudocode. That must be the barest minimum of what you're going to require. And I think, honestly, you'll need more than that as a designer. But this is a way of kind of thumbnailing systems, diagramming. I know I've got some illustrators here. You know what a thumbnail is, right? Right, okay. When we approach this, I'm going to start using some language that gets really confusing really quickly. The first is levels. Now, when I say levels, I kind of already know what you're thinking, probably. I mean, unless you're in computer science. You're probably thinking something like this, like level of understanding, level of progression. I'm not talking about that. What I'm referring to maybe could be considered if I were to say, what's the difference between a high-level language and a low-level language? Anybody know? You probably know, right? Yeah?
Low level. So high level language is like very abstract. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very understandable, whereas low level language. So
Yes, and I mean, we'd use the word granular probably with that when we think of low level, maybe. Okay, we're going to talk about that. And really what I'm referring to, yes, is perspective. I'm referring to high level understanding, meaning we kind of zoom out and be able to see kind of moving parts from a little further out, much more comprehensible. versus very low, where you start to like kind of lose perspective or lose context of it. Whenever I bring up the word perspective, I really love this image because I like try to change your life every few minutes. Remember that multiple things can be true. Various perspectives can be true. Can you imagine coming at it from something like this, or somebody has explained to you, it is a triangle, no, it is a square. And then there's like, you know, people are wearing t-shirts and like making whole movements online. Like, this is scary. The way perspective can really kind of alter your understanding of something. So when I'm referring to perspective and when I talk about high level, I mean zooming out to look at it. Okay. So I'll say the word granular, which is like kind of referring to small grains, quite literally, but this is like when we zoom in and get into the details. Y'all are going to want to do this too soon. You can't help yourselves. Part of that has to do with you being a player, used to being a player. And the player lens is, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to win? What does my turn look like? Those details matter to you because that's what's been most important to you as a player. As a designer, though, and we're trying to like look at something, for example, a core game loop, we have to zoom out a bit and look at it from a larger perspective, a different view. So like breaking large rocks into small rocks. Highest level detail of Earth. I mean, actually, I think we can even go further if we want to look at a blue dot, tiny blue dot, and then a granular level of Earth. Can you believe that these two are the same? That's crazy. All right, I hope I'm making my point clear when I say high level and low level. Okay, great, great. Okay, diagramming starts on the high level, and this is what I'm going to try to train you to do in our next assignment. At this stage, we try to identify the core game loop. What is a core game loop? Maybe some of you know. Anybody know? Yes? Typically cyclic, right? Yeah, it's a sort of a cycle or of pattern, right? What game is this? Yeah, it's Pac-Man. That's weird. You don't see any ghosts, you don't see any art up there, you don't see any maze levels, but we know what it is because as a player, we can identify the core game loop here. I mean, and then we can probably get a little bit more meticulous with map design and level ups and stuff like that. Okay, so the core game loop, yes.
So when you say it's loop, it's
Cyclic.
but it has to be cyclic.
It has to be something that's cyclic, unquote. It is on occasion possible to play a game that might have one loop sort of beginning and end. Those are usually experimental, usually pretty abstract, possible. So I don't want to tell you it has to be cyclic. But I would be hard pressed to think of a game that is not cyclic in some way. They do exist, but you're usually exceptions to a rule. And games are art, right? Games are still art. They are still art. So are we really, is it really fair to say in an academic state that all games must have a cycle? Mm-hmm. 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 Right.
Sequence that each player does on their turn, then you're looping through all players,
Mhm.
so they were same sequence on their turn, and
Mhm.
turn base for everyone else too.
The reason I ask is because like when we're looking at analyzing games, and this is what I'd say, abstracted versions like looking at game mechanics.
Mhm.
If we see a loop, or anything that's cyclic in nature, we can assume we're probably starting to see some of the bones of this.
Yes, exactly. Core game loop, though, is the highest level loop of that system, right? Most games are not actually a singular game. Not really. If you think about them like design or even from a programming lens, they are lots of tiny little games happening inside a game. And you'll see systems nested within systems and so on. And the further nested that you go, the more granular we're technically getting with this design theory, right? So like here, for example, I mean, this is an example of another loop, but if we were going to look at this guy again, we kind of like zoomed out the farthest we can to see the cycle that players, hopefully, if well designed, continue to repeat itself. So yes, and maybe some of you are even thinking of how we did that in Witch Hunt, maybe not. I will make you though at some point. Okay.
You say it's the largest stone.
It's my metaphor, the largest rock, right? The most zoomed out you can of a game to look at. When we look at the most zoomed out level of Earth, we're looking at the whole entirety of it. Can I see grains of sand? Absolutely not. I mean, I see an unfathomable number of them in a way. I can't see any singular person, but I can kind of technically see in my view here a space that occupies literally every human on Earth. That's crazy, right? So I don't really have much context for anything beyond this is planet. This is the largest stone. It's the largest level. It's the farthest out we can zoom out of a game to identify a loop here. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, cool. You're with me. I love it. Now, systems can get nested. The ghost state machine. This guy would exist inside a nested system inside that. Does that make sense? Okay. It's a little ghost behavior that lives inside of that. Now, I mean, like if you look at any one of these, it's not too I want to say intimidating, but if you tried to systems diagram an entirety of maybe a AAA game that you guys are used to playing, that would be insane. Insane, because hundreds of people worked on that game, and we had a couple of really talented minds creating an architecture for it, and then a lot of people creating systems within systems within systems. So we're not going to go quite that far. Now, I'm going to continue with my metaphor a little bit because I know some of you here are not systems thinkers. I know some of you here are film students, illustrators, 3D modelers, maybe even interior designers. And at every state of design, you have a high-level blocking stage with whether it's literal levels or blocking out of a hand or a figure. You always start off with the highest level zoom out of blocking, and then you go into further and further detail as you get further and further down. Game design is no different in this way. Systems design is no different. We start high level, you start to go further in. Now, let's see here. What do I have here? Diagramming starts at the high level. At this stage, we try to identify the core loop. Let's give it a try. In-class exercise. So I'm going to do this for a different game because you guys have to do it for, let me stop. I need to stop this. You guys have to do it for, I know how to do this. Stop share. Oh my God, there it is. And this is, I think I can unmirror my visuals, right? Video settings. Do not mirror. Yay. Okay, so this is okay. You guys can see me now. Great. We're gonna do this with a different game because I want you to practice this with Witch Hunt. So let's talk about a game that I'm going to assume that everybody here has played before. Has everybody here played Go Fish? Yes. If you haven't, you could learn this in like 5 minutes. It's a game that you basically play with 3-year-olds to teach them how to be better losers. It's kind of that and like Candy Land. That's what those games are. It's so that grandma can show you how to be disappointed. Okay, so hopefully, hi. Okay, good. We can read. We're literate. Okay, so for those of you that have played, hopefully you're going to actually even help me communicate to those who have not played how to play Go Fish by identifying the core game loop. Okay, so somebody who's played it, let's start if we can zoom out as far as we can and find a cyclical pattern of behavior in nature. All right, how do we play this game? Well, okay, let's start with the easy part. We have to do a kind of setup, right, where we divvy up the cards. Okay, all right, so I'm going to just make a little box here, and I'm going to call this setup. Okay, why not? It's a system of setup. Stuff is happening inside that. I don't care what. Okay, after we've been set up, what happens? It's somebody's turn. Okay, player turn. Don't forget sound effects, super important. We have a player turn. After the player turn, what happens? Yeah? The other player's turn. Yeah. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna make a little line here that says, I'm gonna put 1, like player 1, and then player turn. And I'm gonna put 2 here. So we got player 1 and player 2, turn. Okay, then what?
Player 3. Really sucks to play with.
Oh, look at that. We got player 3. Player turn. Then what? then player 4 because we've got chaos. All right, I'm gonna play player turn 4 because I'm tired of writing it out. Okay, I agree. Okay. Maximum amount of players in this case will be 4. Then what?
Player 1.
Look at that. We have a loop, right? Makes some sense. We knew that. Okay. Now for my programmers here, y'all are a pedantic bunch. I appreciate you. I do. We have a bit of a problem here. Can anybody identify it? Maybe my computer programmers, my computer science folks? Yes. There's no end. Yes.
There's a finite number of cards in the setup,
How does the system show that?
but it's contained in the setup.
Yeah. Ooh, we never did say in the setup maybe whether or not it had 1 deck or 2 or 5. Oh. And if we're asking a computer to do it, we would actually have to put that in the setup. So I like that you pointed that out. But right now, this just continues forever in what we would call a forever loop, right? Forever. No. Okay, so at what state do we have to check a condition? Probably, right? Like player 1, something happens here. Player 2, like where do we do a check? Like how do I know that this is supposed to end? Besides that the only one state right now is that we run out of cards. Is there other ways for the players to end? Yeah? You'd have a win state, a win condition, something that says we have a winner, game over, right? Okay, so I'm gonna put over here, game over. We have to figure out how to get to here from here. So do I do that from a player state? Yeah?
Player during the game.
Okay. When would we do that check? During the turn? Maybe during the turn. Okay. So the game over state could technically exist within each of these. That's true. I think usually after a player's action, it happens. What's really cool about diagramming is that there isn't really a right or a wrong way to do it. Some of you might feel that we should put this win state inside of the system and make it a nested system. I think that that's fine. Some of you might feel that we would have like a little like check right here about whether or not we have a win state or not. In one case, it goes to the next turn. On the other case, it goes to game over. And then maybe this little check, this little if-then statement, right? So we could do it something like that. That's one way to diagram this, absolutely. Something else that I noticed here, and I'm not going to really require this of y'all, right? But, oh no, I kind of did this like outside of the thing, didn't I? It's okay. I wouldn't require this of y'all, but we've got a lot of repetitive systems here. We actually have one whole system that just repeats itself times. So we might even be able to clean this up a little bit if we wanted to. We can have something like player turn. We could do my little if-then statement about whether or not we have a win condition. Game over. And we can have this kind of going here, and we can have a cycle inside here occurring. That's another way we could think about it. Who's right or wrong? It's fine either way, really. So what I'm going to ask y'all to do, and I'm going to give you time in class to do it so that you could work with people that you're sitting next to if you'd like to. I'm not going to require you to work with each other, but thinking of diagrams as these like abstract moving parts gets really tricky. So I'm going to describe for you what I do not want to see. This is behavior that I want you to avoid doing. And that is, firstly, getting too granular right away. Granular might look like in the case of you know, what am I talking about here? Go fish, where you'd have deal, and then we've got a system here, and then it's look at cards, and then that goes to decide card. Do I go fish or not? Then ask. Do you see what I'm showing here about what I mean by too granular? Okay, that's one sign that you've gotten too granular. You're not identifying the highest level system of repeated pattern here. The next thing that I've seen people do that I don't want to see. Okay. This is more of a naming habit than anything else. But we got setup, right? That's our first one. And then we got player turn. But for player turn, instead you're like, player looks at cards and decides if they need to go fish or not. Do you see what's happening? This is not a system. It's a direction, right? When this happens, this is usually because we're coming at it as a player and we're used to thinking of these as behaviors of things that I have to do. So the idea is to practice zooming out, find that core loop, and then I'm going to ask you to go one level deep, at least, just one, of a nested system. So we've got player turn here, right? Okay. And then we've got an if-then statement that I decided to make a diamond. And then we got game over. Or win condition, win-loss condition. Right here, there's a system inside there that you can identify. That is a little closer to the first thing that I started to diagram. That receives cards, evaluates cards, checks card, go fish, don't go fish. That's a system that can live inside here. Now, you can actually illustrate it within the box itself, or you can kind of create a graphic where we like take a big, larger, here, let me get this out of the way because I kind of did this backwards, where I've got like a big old box right here representing this guy that gives me a little bit more room to work. Then I'll have you be my game over state. Okay. And then I could start figuring out this part here. Now, what I've done, I've created a box that has like kind of a little node going into it and a little node coming out of it. So I'm going to start here, little node coming into it, little node coming out of it, so that I've just made a larger thing to represent what I'm talking about. Coming in here for a player turn, what that might look like. Evaluate card, evaluation, okay? From here, we might have a check inside that. We don't need to worry about that. We could say go fish. No go fish. These two states. And that might leave the system. There you go. Easy. Easy breezy. Maybe there's more detail depending on how you think about it. If I do it differently than you do, that's okay. It really is okay how you illustrate it. Now I can see some of you getting a little nervous. So I actually want you guys to give this a try. In class, before we go, we've got like the rest of class to work on this, right? So if I come back over here and we look at Witch hunt diagramming. Okay. Diagram the game that identifies the core game. Oh, did I have you guys do? Yes, we did. Consider our discussion about reward systems. Be sure to include the role you played. I'd like for you to give me a little evaluate of how you played it. And then you're going to diagram this. Now, I've provided you with a couple of digital tools. Diagrams.net is fine. Miroboard is also super dope. Problem with Miroboard though is that if you use like more than one, it tries to make you pay. But it is pretty cool. So if you like it, you may use it. But like right here, this is a digital or like a digital online option for basically doing exactly what I'm doing here, right? You can visually map it out here. I don't require you to do it any certain way. You may make these diagrams how you want to. Some of you don't want to use a tool like this, in which case you may use pen and paper. You might just need to take a little picture of it with your camera and submit that. That is fine, as long as I can read it. Please understand that if I cannot read your handwriting, I cannot grade it. And so even if you're right, I won't be able to, so if you do your handwriting, please make sure it's clear enough that I can read it. Okay. Your diagram should not communicate a forever loop, but it should demonstrate it. Have full sentences or paragraphs describing the game, or be too granular or zoomed in as I described up here. Yes. This is the witch hunt diagram. Right here, witch hunt part 2 theory diagram. You can export a draw.io as a PNG. That would be fine. You can take a picture of your image. Please do not submit a link because I won't have access to it. You have to have all these permissions. Y'all often forget to do that. It's just easier to take a screenshot if you absolutely have to, but you could also export a PNG or JPEG or an image that way. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys work on this in class. You may use whiteboard. If you actually map it out on the whiteboard, take a picture of it, submit it, that's fine. Here, let me make some space for you over here. You may work in groups together. Just make sure that everybody in that group submits, right? Please do not submit the work of others if you did not contribute to this, though. I don't like that. That's not nice. Yeah. And if you find yourself getting stuck thinking about how to move forward, go ahead and raise your hand, and I will see if I can maybe prompt the next sort of step for you and help you out, okay? All right. Love to see it. Now, that'll be due before we get to class next week, and then you will start our prototyping. So you can, over the weekend, think about your ideas, what you might want to make. Okay. Cool, cool.